Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. Hey, move, move, move. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. I am late. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I completely forgot. I had so much on my calendar. I was running and doing my errands over here. I had to go meet this person, and then I had two birthdays back to back, and it was just like a busy day. And I'm so sorry that I am late. Do you relate to this feeling? Do you ever feel like you're rushing around and like you just feel like you never have enough time to get the things that you want to get done? And there's always another thing to add onto your calendar, and the next thing before you know it, you are booked for like 3 months in advance. And when you want to do something last minute, you have to kind of squeeze things around over here and squeeze things around over there. And then a million balls drop, and then you're just like frustrated and tired and exhausted, and you show up cranky and snippy towards people. Today, we're going to talk about the last part of Drop the Weight series, dropping the hangups and habits that sabotage your life. And today, we're going to be talking about one habit that most people don't think about, which is overcommitment. Now, a lot of people, myself included, pride themselves on showing up constantly, being able to put a lot of things on their schedule, feeling a sense of accomplishment that they have to go to all of these different things. And when we talk about overcommitment and the need to reduce our overcommitment, it might have people feeling kind of prickly about it because they're like, well, like I really need to do this and I need to do that. But we're going to talk about some of the reasons why we need to let go of the overcommitment and what might be causing us to want to hold on to that overcommitment. Before we begin, though, my name is Mariah. I'm a certified Christian mental health coach, and I'm here to help you grow in emotional and spiritual maturity through biblically based practices. What that all means is I'm here to help you merge your faith in your feelings so that you can have an authentic faith following Jesus and living a full life that he promised us. If you would like to learn more about that, I have a free guide for you in the description. That is an emotional prayer guide to help you grow in your journey, that you can merge your faith and your feelings together. You can also follow me over on my Instagram page where we have conversations like this and more. Why do we overcommit? We overcommit for two reasons: fear and pride. Let's talk about it. Fear. When we overcommit, we have this feeling of like, what if I let someone down? What if I'm not needed anymore? What will happen if I am not in charge of the situation? Or just the basic fear of missing out. And these fear questions that we subtly ask ourselves control our lives to the point where we have no breathing room to enjoy the circumstance that we're in. So like if we had to go to one birthday party and now we have another birthday party to go to, and then we have these like different feelings and conflicts, like you want to stay over here and you want to stay over there, it can bring up so many confusing emotions that you have to work through in order for you to know, maybe I have to say no to this thing over here, or maybe I can say yes to both, but I have to adjust my expectations. And when it comes to pride, pride is this sense of like, I feel important. I feel like I'm wanted. I feel like I'm worthy because I'm better than so and so who never shows up anywhere. Do you see how these beliefs and thoughts and emotions are all interconnected together? And as a classic overcommitter, I know that the reason why you're probably so busy is you're most likely in avoidance mode. See, reflecting on these questions and these emotions that pop up require time and space, and you can't do that if your calendar is jam packed. God designed us with limits for a reason, but if we are constantly trying to push ourselves to the limit every day, all day, that tells me there's something deeper going on than just fear and pride. There are some deeper issues that you are wanting to avoid, that God wants to bring healing into your life, but you're like, no, actually, I'm just going to go do this thing over here. I'm going to commit to this thing. And usually they're like good things, right? Like your job or volunteering at church or spending time with friends or wherever it might be. But if you're so busy having your schedule so packed back to back to back to back, you don't have room to listen to God and hear what God has for you in your life. And the reason why God has limits for us is because that is our ability to give space for Him to speak into our life, to say things to us that maybe we don't want to hear, but we need to hear. If you constantly fight against the limits and you push back against them, you might end up like me and end up in the hospital. But that's a story for another time. All I'm telling you is maybe you might stink at time management, but maybe Maybe it's deeper than time management. Maybe it's actually something that you are struggling to process and wrestle with, that you are constantly filling up your schedule to avoid things. And as a slight note, the way that our society functions makes it easy for us to constantly avoid. And things changed during the Industrial Revolution. This is why history matters. You should pay attention to history because it teaches us very important lessons. During the Industrial Revolution, we really focused on time and efficiency as our form of survival, where before we grew crops. And so we would just be working in the field and working in home and doing those things. And that stuff took time and it wasn't always efficient, but it was fulfilling. And then when we switched into, the factory setting and all of that stuff, then it really like hyper jumped to all my Star Wars fans out there. Our desire to be efficient and to get things done in a timely manner. So maybe you feel like, well, if I don't do all of these things, then I am not doing what I need to do to survive. But now we have all of these time saving mechanisms like a washing machine, a dishwasher, our phones, our computers, different things. Like you don't have to go to encyclopedia to find an answer anymore. If you don't even know what an encyclopedia is, my point is proven. But we have all of these like modern things where we can now have time and space, but we don't know how to operate out of this efficiency model because we didn't know anything differently. And I think a lot of people are realizing like maybe efficient always isn't always the best thing. Maybe there is a purpose to the slower living, which is something that I feel like I'm seeing a lot pop up on my feed. When we have this excessive amount of time and lack of purpose that we're feeling, we're going to try and fill it up with things to avoid the deeper questions and deeper issues. Because when you have time, you actually have time to think and you have time to slow down and you have time to ask yourself these questions. You have time to ask God what He's doing in your life and what He wants for you. And when we avoid that, we avoid looking at issues and beliefs that we would rather keep buried. And that, my friend, becomes a weight in your life through the weight of overcommitment because you are now avoiding the things that God wants to deal with. And this is where resentment and bitterness can start to creep in, and it can start to be a stumbling block in your life because you're so busy filling up your time, your energy, your space that you don't let God do the work He needs to do. So, how do we move from a human doing to a human being? Well, we're going to touch on a couple of things. Number one, recognize you have limits. It is okay to have limitations. It is okay to say no. It's okay to slow down. Like you imagine yourself like being like a battery. You only have a certain percentage. You have to recognize you can't exceed 100%. So, whatever it is that you need to show up with, recognize how far your limitations are. There's only 24 hours in a day. You need to eat, sleep, take care of your body, and then you'll be able to do the other things that you need to do. But if you're not even taking care of your basic needs, you can't get all of the things done. You're going to run on fumes and it's going to burn out and you're going to end up in the hospital. Again, a story for another day. Number two, check your battery level. Where are you? You need to gauge yourself. Okay, so if I have limits, where am I in my limitation process? Am I running on low? Or do I have extra energy? Can I go ahead and spend more time with people or do these things? And if you're a female, one thing I really encourage you is to cycle sync. If you have not heard of that yet, it's great. It's really understanding how God designed the female body for certain seasons, why there's certain things that you can do and you have more energy, and other times you feel like doing nothing. God designed it that way. So get in touch with your cycle syncing. But check your battery. Look at where you are in your calendar. See, like, okay, I have this that I've already done, but I need to do these things. Like, where can you move priorities around? Because you have only a certain amount of energy that you can show up with. And then the other thing that I want you to do is cultivate rhythms. See, part of what makes overcommitment such a problem is we don't have sustainable rhythms in our lives where we play, rest, work, cultivate, continue. Like you need to do these things. You need to have these systems in place. And if you're just bouncing, 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 and you never give time to rest and recuperate, or you never give time to play, or you never give time to work, then you're going to constantly feeling like you're dropping the ball somewhere instead of recognizing this is one season. I'm doing it this time, and now I'm moving into this season, and now I'm moving into this season. And if you've grown up in extremes where maybe it was all work and no play, or all play and no work, or you never got the chance to create, You might feel tempted to just kind of like really only sit in that one portion. But when you cultivate rhythms, it helps you remember, like, okay, right now is work time. I will get to play. And once you play, you're like, okay, I've played. I feel refreshed. I can now go work. Okay, I want to or I want to create. Okay, I'm going to create for a little bit, but then I'm going to rest again because I need to have that as part of my cultivation. The thing about limits is that they teach us to trust God. Because God ultimately created the limits in our lives. He created our bodies to only have a certain function. He created the day with only 24 hours. He created us with certain limits, and those are a good thing because you can't get everything done that you need to get done. And that's okay, because what that does is it causes you to trust God and say, God, do you want me to do this thing? Where do you want me to rest? What do you want me to do? And it helps you cultivate a listening ear for God's voice in your life to speak truth to you, to guide you, so that way you're not just running around like a haggard, ragged hyena, but you're cultivating this space where you say yes to the things you say yes to fully, joyfully. You say no, and you come back to it if you can, but you just say no, and you're able to have that space and that time to do the things that God wants you to do. So hopefully this was an encouraging video for you. If you feel like stuck in figuring out time management, or you're like, I don't know how to work through this belief, or you have some thoughts, be sure to leave a comment below. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next series. But if this was a good series for you, tell me which one that you enjoyed the most, and I will catch you in the next episode.